So, good morning, everyone. Well, it could be morning, evening, wherever you're at. It's such a pleasure today to have Patrick McFadden.
Yep, you got it.
Yes, Patrick, lovely. It's such a coincidence. I reached out to Thomas Ellis, I would say about 2 years ago, and we met via LinkedIn. We had some brief conversations. We love each other's content. We help each other out from time to time. And then after the interview with him, he was saying that you're such an awesome guy. And the coincidence was I started looking at your content and I was like, wow, this is something that I really, really, really enjoy. So, folks, I am Kimberly King from Consulting Services by King and Associates Limited, and I am going to have Patrick definitely introduce himself and talk about some of the awesome things that he does on his platforms as well. So, Patrick, take it away.
Awesome. So, yeah, Patrick McFadden. I'm the founder of a small business marketing consulting firm called Indispensable Marketing. And one of the things that we really value and do is we create marketing as a process that will either increase visibility and make the phone ring for a lot of small businesses. I mean, we typically work with, professional services, contractors, whether it's like electricians, plumbers, handyman, those types of companies. And then the other side of the fence is the law firms, bookkeeping, accounting firms, and then I would say we do have another segment too, which is kind of more consulting firms. We work with a lot of consulting firms. I always say that the biggest thing for us is if you need an educated customer, we're probably a good fit for you, especially from a service-based business, just because there's a part of that process where the customer needs to know why I'm doing business with you, what's the problem you could solve for me, and how is that different from everybody else that I could pick. And so oftentimes our clients are able to charge a premium for what they offer because the way we've been able to position them and change the context of how the customer views what they do.
I absolutely love that, Patrick. So tell me, what does 2021 as it pertains to really marketing? What is that going to look like? You have, in terms of your client base, you have entrepreneurs, you have business owners, you have technocrats, etc. So what does 2021 look like as it pertains to marketing? Has that changed? Is there some new techniques that we should be looking at, especially for these entrepreneurs, business owners, and also just from your experience as a person with your client base?
Yeah, I think it's important to start with that 2020 happened. um, and it did change behaviors for a lot of clients and customers and how we engage and how we interact. And for a lot of small businesses, especially the ones that we work with, I would say the thing for 2021 is just how do you make uh, the customer experience just easy. People now have got accustomed to doing consultations via online or Zoom, and they're willing. And so that's the biggest trend I think for small businesses is to continue to adapt to the customer, and that's the real secret to marketing. Is stay close to your customers. And I have a little mantra I say, which is stay loyal to the market, not the tool.
Hmm.
Um, and the reason I say that is because we've, here in America, we've went from the yellow pages to the Google. We've went from the classified in a newspaper to the Craigslist, from from videos to DVDs, right? And so if you're close to and from DVDs to streaming,
Mm-hmm.
and so by staying close to the customer, you're able to be true to them regardless of the tool, because that's going to shift. I mean, that's one thing we know for sure is that the attention and where people want to do business and how they do business have shifted. And so the biggest trend for 2021 is how do you use and facilitate the processes that you did in an in-person manner virtually. And for my consulting firm, a lot of the in-person sales conversations that we were having, we're now just doing we're using a technology called Loom, and we're recording a kind of a explainer video of the proposal, and what the value of it is, and then providing that with a recap email that still facilitates maybe another conversation, but typically that will be done in person a lot of the times. And so, or it will be done over the phone, but adding that element of video to it, we've seen it speeds up the sales cycle. And we have clients that are in the contractor space that are doing that as well. They're using video now to go over proposals and plans where typically that would just be sent by email and then you'll let the customer call you back in that space. So that's what I think is the biggest trend, is looking at your processes that you would traditionally do in person and saying, how do we adapt? We still want to do this, but how do we do it now in a virtual environment?
Yeah, I love that example, Patrick, because I found myself doing that as well as when I started connecting with a lot of customers, let's say around April, May. I started using Loom as well to send the proposals versus just saying, okay, here's the proposal. And I found that the engagement was better. Persons were able to say, okay, this is the right fit for me at this time, or persons were able to be like, you know what, Kimberly, ideally, probably at another time, versus just having it sitting there in their inbox and wondering what is happening. So you're so right. Um, just really in terms of the adaptability, I love that, because at the end of the day, our customers are always changing, especially from this 2020 into 2021. So being adaptable is a good point as well. So, Patrick, you speak a lot on your platforms as it pertains to strategy, plan, process, messaging. So, tell me in terms of figuring this all of this out, sorry, especially for an entrepreneur, why is this important? Because you find a lot of entrepreneurs being very tactical.
Mm-hmm.
So they will just say, okay, I probably need to post more. I probably need to be a little more consistent, but they don't really get to the point of talking about strategy, process. Why is that important?
Yeah, I've for a long time practiced this approach of diagnosis before prescription for marketing. And it's no different if you went to the doctor and said, just give me some Tylenol. The doctor would say, why? For what? To solve what pain? Right. And so I've saw immediately that if you have the right diagnosis, you'll get the right prescription. Now, when it comes to marketing, if you're targeting the right customer, and you're addressing their concerns, you understand the things that they trust and believe in making the decision to purchase services, and you understand how they do that, that will dictate the prescriptions or the tactics you use. And so that diagnosis is what we call strategy. And if you had to, I talk about it a lot that if you Google marketing strategy, Google even has it backwards. You're going to get a bunch of articles on tactical things to do. But the tactics need to be driven and derived from the strategy part of the conversation. And strategy involves just three really key elements. One, who is your ideal customer, not your target market, right? So you can have a target market, but within that target market is a subset of customers that you are uniquely qualified to serve, help, and that value what you do. So that moves into the second part of that. Who values what you do and what do they value? Right. So you have to go uncover what is the thing that we're doing that these customers say that they can't live without, that it's a desirable element for them. This also helps you stop competing on price. Because when you have created something that is desirable and that is appealing, people will skip over that price because they really want that. And then the third part of strategy is then really saying, how do I take who we're trying to reach, what they care about, and then bake that into the business and into the messaging, into all the assets. That's really the three parts of strategy. Now, a lot of times I know people will say, well, what's the difference between marketing strategy, marketing plan, and then a marketing process? And uh, I like to say, I thought about that a little bit and I said, well, think about it like this. Your strategy is the why. Why are these customers attracted to us? Why do these particular customers do business with us? Why is it that this segment of people are great for and profitable for us, right? So that strategy is the why. Your plan is really the what. So it's extending, right? So your strategy is one part. The plan is the extension of the what. What are we going to do to attract these people that we've identified that are great for our business, that we serve well, that they're attracted to us, right? So that's the kind of the tactical component of it. But the missing piece that I've seen is the process. The process is the how, right? So strategy is why, plan is what, the process is how. That activates your plan. Because what I've seen is that businesses will get a marketing plan done, but
Mhm.
it stays on the shelf. It sits in their
Mhm.
inbox. They don't do anything with it, right? The activation of the plan is what's missing. And so that's the process part of it, the how. And a lot of times for us, we've developed that how, right? So when it comes to content, we're going to always include keyword research. We're going to make sure that the pages and the information that we're developing gets found on Google, because that's the purpose of creating it.
Mhm.
So the process is just taking how it gets done and making sure that it maps back to the plan. And that's really the best way I could tell you to think about it is why, what, how.
Excellent. I think I got a little bit of goosebumps there, Patrick, because in my space, in terms of the clients that I've interacted with thus far, strategy, planning, and processes are like curse words. It's like, hands off for a bit, but you've explained it so well and you really get to the importance of it. You can't say that you are doing particular actions as it pertains to the tactical part of it and it isn't coming from your why. That is so important. So that's awesome. So tell me, in terms of marketing, how does that create a know, like, and trust relationship? For me, I'm all about sales. I'm also with a marketing background, but I believe that we need to always marry the two.
Yeah.
That really creates a know, like, and trust relationship.
Yeah, the truth is effective marketing eliminates the need to sell traditionally. What I mean is hunting people and trying to pitch it down their throat. So if you have a true understanding of who your customer is, okay, we could just walk through it. Our customer is someone that does not own lawn care equipment, but they want to have a nicely maintained yard. They want to come home to a landscape that's beautiful. All right. So then you would say, how do we build know, like, and trust with these types of folks? And you would simply say, let's see, they don't own equipment, so that means they're probably looking for somebody who has maybe the latest tools and that can make their yard look a certain way. So they would probably look for visuals of your past work.
Mhm.
Is that being showcased on your website? That's and you're building a little know, like, and trust. Have you won awards for your design and landscape and patios? Oh wow, you're award winning. Okay, let me see if you have reviews. Okay, so other people that look like me, that are similar to me, who have the same problem, have used you before. um, oh, I see that you have a blog on something you've done in my neighborhood. Maybe you do a neighborhood case study where oh, okay, you've been in my neighborhood. So those are ways you build trust. So when they call and the sales process is activated, they're simply saying, I saw, I read. Now just tell me, how do you guys work? Do you accept payment up front? How do you guys come out? What's the next step? How do I continue my relationship with you now that I know, like, and trust you based off of what you've put out there and I've read and consumed? And that's how marketing builds that know, like, and trust. You made me think about something. A lot of that know, like, and trust comes from making the expertise visible, no
Mhm.
matter what that is. And visible could come in many forms. Visible could be through a video, through a photo, through written word, through a graphic. But you have to be able to make your expertise visible to somebody so they can taste it, and get a sense of what it's like to maybe work with you, or purchase your services without actually going through the whole thing up front. But that's the know, like, and trust.
Oh, Excellent, excellent, excellent. I love it because part of in terms of what it is we do, I always preach to persons being visible. I know sometimes it's such of what's the word? It's not easily done because especially if you're an entrepreneur, it's very difficult to say, okay, I need to be visible on these platforms or I need to be talking about what it is I do. But we just heard the importance of why it needs to be done. That's excellent, Patrick. So is it a one size fit all? Discuss why it's important to really customize your marketing to the clients that it is you serve, your ideal customer, that is.
Yep. Well, it's twofold. One of the reasons I say it's not good to copy your competitors is your competitors may be targeting a different customer than you,
Mhm.
right? So your competitor could say, "Oh, we have higher end clients who want to receive extra communication, who want their own dedicated person, who wants the 24-hour I can dial, support." So if you're copying your competitor, but you don't have the ability to fulfill those promises on the back end like they have, you've already made a mistake.
Mm.
So your marketing definitely needs to be for you and for the customers that you serve and what they value. Uh, Now, the tricky part, well, not the tricky, but the fun part of this is, truthfully speaking, 85% of the clients that we get and that we bring on board need the same thing across the board. The difference is that 15%. And so what that 85% is, they need an ideal customer. They need a message of difference to that customer. They need to communicate that difference to that customer. They need to understand the journey that that customer takes. And then they need to have multiple, this is where the 15% comes in. They need ways of reaching those people. And that's where it's different. Where the higher end customer may read a higher end magazine,
Mhm.
where another customer may say, you know what? I just go to the classifieds in Craigslist because I'm not looking for the most expensive. I'm looking for this. And so those are two tactics that are driven. One needs to advertise in a magazine, the other needs to put out Craigslist ads. So that's why that 15% is the difference. But across the board, everybody needs kind of the same thing. It's just that thing in that bucket is different. That's the real secret.
Great, awesome. So let's talk about budgets. Now, the clients that I work with, sometimes they say, Kimberly, I am on a shoestring budget, but ideally, yes, I want to get the visibility that I need. What is your advice to entrepreneurs or persons now starting off and they want that visibility? They're looking at, hitting that start button on marketing. And what is that advice that you will ideally give to them?
If you're on a shoestring budget, you just you're going to be doing things that involve your time, not money. And so that may mean figuring out how to network in this virtual
Mm.
environment. It may mean you may have to start putting on education, which just involves your time. You may need to really ramp up your referral programs and be
Mhm.
intentional about generating referrals. That's really what you do when you're on a shoestring budget is you get as close to the customer as possible and you deploy what you can at that moment. I think about when I first started in business, I went to a lot of networking events
Mhm.
to network and to network strategically, not show up and pass
Mhm.
business cards. I showed up, I identified 3 people that I had great conversations with that I
Mhm.
wanted to follow up with. I would then go home, connect with them on LinkedIn, and maybe send them an email and saying, "Hey, I wanted to," and I would leave an event. Like if I got three conversations, I didn't want any more. I left the event. That was it. My goal was accomplished, unless I wanted to hang around and chit chat. So I took those 3 cards. I followed up. We had conversations, and over time, people would refer me to other people because they sampled my expertise, which was free. They never bought anything, but I did the true networking, which is I helped them achieve their goal. I tried to understand who's their customer, what problems do they solve, and try to build this ecosystem of hey, you need to maybe talk to that person because you didn't know that you too target the same market. So, and I use the internet. Still to this day consistently put out educational information uh, via our blog on our website, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. So that right there is huge too. But you have to be of value to someone,
Mm,
to in order to
mhm,
get what I always say. You have to give to get. You
mhm,
have to give a talk. You have to give a referral. You have to give a consultation. I believe if you have a shoestring budget, you have to use the give to get model.
mhm. I love it exactly that way. That's basically why I joined in on LinkedIn, because it's of that premise to be able to give advice, to educate those persons who you will think are part of your ideal customer profile, as well as you said something that's very important that I need to be even more intentional with 2021, and that's the art of a good referral. I think it is better than saying that you're going to put in a budget into marketing efforts that might be a bit tight, but I absolutely agree with you. So
So,
Patrick, yes, sorry,
uh,
go ahead.
well, I want to bring some value here with some tactical advice. One of the easiest ways to make referrals happen is to do it during the sales process.
Mm,
So tell the customer, hey, you're going to be thrilled with what you've purchased today. And at some point in time, you can do it at a set checkpoint or at a measurement. We're going to come back and ask you, how has things been? How did it go? And then if you felt that you had a good experience and got the results that you wanted, I would love for you to introduce us
mhm,
to three other people who need and want to experience these same type of results.
mhm,
So you're putting yourself on the hook to deliver. And then at that moment in time, you say you're going to ask, hey, who else do you know that complains about this same problem, that needs this same type of result? And you'll be amazed at how quickly referrals will just generate by including that in your sales process. And then I know a contractor
mhm,
who literally would go to someone's home and says, "Hey, I'm going to go check out your furnace, but while I'm here, I want you to check out this list here. These are a list of names and phone numbers of your neighbors who have graciously agreed to give their information up. And oh, I know them. Oh, I know them. You know what? You're hired. Go ahead. You can go ahead and fix the furnace. All right." So that's
yeah.
using the power of referral just with a simple piece of paper to say, hey, here's your neighbors that graciously said, you know.
Use my contact information. Right. Awesome. I mean, I love that. So that is definitely on the to-do list for 2021. Patrick, it has been great. I thoroughly enjoyed this. A lot of nuggets, sorry. But please tell persons where they can connect with you further, because it's definitely worth a conversation.
Yep. They can always find me at indispensablemarketing.com. You can also type that into Google and Patrick McFadden on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So yes, everyone, I am Kimberly King of Consulting Services by King and Associates Limited, and it was such a pleasure talking about marketing for 2021 and how we can look at it and what we can do and what we can improve. Patrick, thanks again. I'll be sure to connect with you soon.
Thank you, Kimberly.
My pleasure.